your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us today on the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. In a half an hour or so, about roughly 34 minutes, we will give you the lucky local winning word for today. And today somebody's going to win $250 from us and the Home Zone. Just like last Thursday, Brittany George, she won $250. So make sure you get the secret word entered in to doublet973.com when I give it to you. We'll do that at 6:48 and 8:45, and then again at 4:45 this afternoon. So be looking for that today. We will be right on target with that. We'll have Astros baseball on the air for you today. They take on the Guardians of Cleveland. That'll be at 6:40 on 100.7 The Score. And then if there's time remaining, innings remaining, we'll join the Rangers and the Washington Nationals in progress from the ballpark there in Arlington. That's back-to-back National League teams that the Rangers are playing, the Reds and the Nationals.
That is correct. Okay.
So that'll be tonight, and then that series will continue tomorrow and Thursday, and we'll have both those games for you on Double T 97.3. Thursday is an afternoon affair. Last night on Red Raider Baseball with Tim Tadlock, a couple of notes that I jotted down from the show, Jamie. Coach Tadlock was asked about Owen Washburn, and he said he's getting better, and he'll be back sooner than later.
All right, great news.
So I don't know what sooner than later means, if sooner than later is this weekend or if it's next week, but he said sooner than later. Okay?
Awesome.
He said Dylan Maxey, who got hit in the back of the head, closer to the temple is what he said, I think last night, closer to the temple, because he said he was turning to get away from the pitch and the ball hit him near the temple. He said he was better today, meaning yesterday, and then we'll see how he's going and get him back in there. So, again, don't know if that means this weekend or if that's a next week thing. Would you guess next week more on him?
or the weekend.
Okay. All right. So that's a couple of injury notes. If they talked about Austin Green, I did not catch that. So, hopefully he's a guy that, you can get back in your lineup like as soon as possible. Today would be a good day, right? Today would be a good day for him to get up and go, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I can get in there. And so hopefully that's some good news. He also said, and I'm going to let you interpret this because I think it worked. I think it worked both ways. He said that he was really big on winning the battle at home plate, and he said, I think he meant that from both perspectives, from the pitchers attacking home plate and his batters attacking home plate. And that's something that's been a bit of a struggle, especially on the road.
Yeah, I mean, just winning at bats. Mm-hmm. Period. I mean, very very simple concept. You gotta get outs on the mound, and you gotta have guys competing at the plate. And unfortunately, with the 22 free passes you gave up this weekend, you didn't always compete on the mound, and you can look at the numbers offensively from the weekend when you hit a whopping 202 and you got 8 free passes that you didn't compete at the plate either. Mm-hmm. So a lot of 1-2 pitch outs, while you're hitting, and a lot of free passes. So I mean, you're not winning the battle at all.
Yeah. In either direction, either when you're on the field or when you're at the plate. He also said, and this is kind of a standard line from him, that a lot of baseball in front of us and still coming together. So I mean, I think they're trying to just inject as much positive air into their baseball team as they can, because there is still a lot in front of them. But man, you start looking at what's in front of you with not necessarily just tonight's game, but this weekend, and then next weekend playing in Stillwater. The next two opponents in Big 12 play are ahead of you in the standings, and you desperately got to try to figure out a way to, I don't know, try to win 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, 3 out of 6, something, 3 out of 4, whatever it is, whatever combination, so you can, solidify yourself.
How about we just say as many as possible?
As many as possible. As many as possible. 6 would be possible, but just trying to.
You were really struggling there. I wanted to help you.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate that. Trying to get all the math together there, because you start facing a real possibility that if you got just one win out of the next couple of weekends of really putting yourself in danger of making the NCAA tournament. Is that a fair thought or comment?
Yeah.
Because then you go into the last weekend not really able to help yourself a great deal. I mean, you play at Arizona State, and you take on UNLV, and then you play at Arizona State to finish things up on May the 17th, and then head off to the Big 12 tournament. And you really don't want to go into that thing feeling like you've got to either win it all to make it to the big tournament, or at least have a really, really good outing, because historically you've not had really good outings in the Big 12 tournament because you haven't really needed to, and you've been more interested in maybe setting up your pitching and things along those lines and getting some guys some at-bats, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not really going to be the case this year. Zach Erdman's going to throw tonight. He said that on his radio show last night. Coach Tadlock did. And he'll go up against the right-hander Isaiah Campa, who is 2-1 with a 4.05 earned run average. Aside from throwing a no-hitter and a shutout and going 9 innings, what would you like to see from Zach Erdman tonight? Because it's kind of a standard pat question for you that I ask each day.
Attack the strike zone.
Okay. Attack the strike zone.
Yeah, that's just what we were going back to. Compete, make them earn it. Give away free passes. Don't set yourself up for difficult at-bats with guys on base because you're giving them bases.
Try to stay away from that. And I guess the other thing, one of the things that kind of stood out to me in one of the games last weekend, and I'm not blaming this on the umpires by any stretch of the imagination, but kept it trying to go to the outside of the corner of the plate, and they weren't giving it to you. So when that happens,
especially late Friday night.
Yeah, when that happens, is it hard for that pitcher to make that adjustment and go, okay, they're not giving me outside, I'm going to try to go inside? I'm sure that's easier said than done, right?
I think it just depends on the pitcher. I mean, if you're aiming for the outside edge of the plate and you're not getting it, okay, well, aim a little more inside, right? Not so far out.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I'm not a pitcher, but I know you expect certain ones to be called strikes, and on certain days, you'll see that where let's say an umpire he's given the outside strike, and okay, well, let's throw a ball farther out to see if he'll give me that one too. A
little tester.
Yeah, well, if they can do that, well, on a day where he's not giving you the outside edge, can't you say, well, I gotta aim an inch inside or whatever?
Right. That would make common sense, right?
Yeah. So I don't think it's only difficult for the pitchers that don't have command. Can't spot their pitches.
And that's been part of your challenge. Yeah. That's the reason for so many walks. That's the reason for so many losses, because you give extra bases and things along those lines, and then you can't get your guys to do the same thing, to be a little bit more patient or attack the plate and foul off pitches and force them to throw and throw and throw and throw and throw to the point where they're like, okay, I'll just walk you. Just walk you. Get to the next guy. 6:25, we'll have Red Raider Baseball for you on the air tonight at 6, play-by-play at 6:30 here on Double T 97.3. Good morning.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Starting in 1919, gentlemen, I want you to remember how baseball works.
Throw the ball, you catch the ball, you hit the ball.
Think about how baseball works. Remember how the innings go. Mm-hmm. Phillies beat the Brooklyn Dodgers 9-0 in 20 innings.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
1922, Chicago pitcher Charlie Robertson throws a perfect game as the White Sox beat the Detroit Tigers 2-0 at Navin Field. 1939, Lou Gehrig sets a Major League Baseball record, playing in his 2,130th consecutive and final game for the New York Yankees. 1940, Brooklyn Dodger Tex Charlton no-hits the Cincinnati Reds 3-0. 1946, Cleveland pitcher Bob Feller's second career Major League Baseball no-hitter beats the New York Yankees 1-0. 1961, San Francisco outfielder Willie Mays becomes just the 9th player in Major League Baseball history to hit 4 home runs in one game in a Giants 14-4 win over the Braves in Milwaukee.
He was the first guy after Ruth to get to 600 home runs as a career, and there were a lot of people that thought he would eventually surpass him, but he just didn't have the productivity later in his career that other guys did have. Just didn't have the juice, Jamie.
Chuck?
Yeah?
I need you to look at Jamie.
Okay.
1988. New York Yankee Dave Winfield gets his 29th RBI of April, setting an American League and ties a Major League record.
Yeah, but the problem in that is that he went 1 for 17 in the World Series, and so that prompted the earlier in his career for the Yankees, and so that prompted George Steinbrenner after that to call him Mr. April, which was it's basically like saying Peyton Manning is the best regular season quarterback of all time, yeah. Which is a shot, meaning he didn't perform as well in the postseason. So after that, Winfield got the moniker, or the nickname, I guess I should say, the nickname of, Mr. April, and that by George, and that drew a huge wedge in between the two of them, started the drama between them.
We like to call that a swing and a miss, Chuck.
No. Yeah.
Oh, you were thinking he was going to be...
I was thinking it would be a smile.
It was a great month. It was a great month, but no, it turned into drama. George is involved. There's going to be drama.
Sure.
I was expecting to see Jamie get a big smile about his guy, and
well, he did for a moment, and then he started remembering.
I don't even think it took him a fraction of a moment.
It didn't take long.
Yeah, when you have Mr. October that's played for your team, and you get nicknamed Mr. April.
Yeah,
that's meaning, hey, he's great to start the year, but not good when it matters.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
1990, A's. The Mets pitcher, David Cone, argues a call at first base against the Atlanta Braves. Unfortunately, the play wasn't over yet, and 2 Braves would score on the play.
That's bad.
And in 2017, the number 7 Texas Tech women's tennis team won the program's very first Big 12 championship title as the Lady Raiders down number 9 Oklahoma State 4-2. Lady Raiders had defeated the Cowgirls twice this season.
And they're headed back to the NCAA tournament.
They are. They're going to Cali. It's National Oatmeal Cookie Day.
Can we have raisins in there too?
It just says oatmeal cookie.
Okay.
You want to put raisins in your cookie, put oatmeal in your... You just have to have the oatmeal part. That's what makes it an oatmeal cookie.
Are you good either way? Oatmeal cookie or with or without raisins?
I think an oatmeal cookie without raisins is pretty boring.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still eat it, but it's cookie doesn't even feel like the right term.
Okay.
It's pretty blah. It needs some raisins.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Kristen Dunst, who's 42, Gal Dagat, 39, Enida Arms, 36, Isaiah Thomas, 63, Michael Waltrip, 61, Elliott Sadler, 49, and Tony Pollard is 27. And on this day in 1974, President Richard Nixon announces to the public that he will release the transcripts of the 46 taped White House conversations in response to the Watergate trial subpoena issued in July of 73. The House Judiciary Committee accepted 1,200 pages of transcripts the next day, but insisted that the tapes themselves be turned over as well. And that is this day in sports history.
There'll be a little gap in one of those. All right, that nice little sounder means it's time for our lucky local winning word, your chance to win some cash, but you've got to participate in order to do that. It doesn't require any cash money. We will supply that. Double T 97.3 in the home zone, making your house a home as we give you, the Lubbock resident or greater Lubbock area resident, an opportunity to win some cash courtesy of us. All you have to do is go to doublet973.com and enter the secret word every time that we play the game at this time at 8:45 and at 4:45 in the afternoon during Tech Talk. Today's word, Jamie, is Commodores. Commodores, Commodores. When I think of Commodores, when I hear the word Commodores, do you think of a sports team?
A music group.
Yes, the music group. Absolutely. I would have loved to have seen the Commodores in their heyday. You know, with Lionel Richie and those folks. Yeah. Well, the rest of them. Mm-hmm. You know, the rest of them. I'd still like.
Pretty good.
I'd still like to see them. I think it'd be fun. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite Commodores song? I'll give you some names here. Okay. Easy, 3 Times a Lady, Night Shift, Brick House. Any of those?
Brick House.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. Yeah, right there with you on that. Okay.
All the rest of them were good, though.
Yeah, they're all good. Yeah, no question. All right. And that was this day in sports history.
You know what Lionel Richie's rule is?
What's
with
that?
Regard to that song?
Which one?
Brick House.
Huh.
If a woman ever comes up to them and asks them if they are a brick house, the answer is yes. No matter what they look like, no matter who they are, if a woman walks up to a member of the Commodores and asks them if they are a brick house, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Because you don't want to tell them no.
No. Somebody says this round breakfast bar without raisins is an oatmeal cookie.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Somebody asked this question, and there were 4, I believe 4 in this weekend for the Lady Raiders. I don't know. Somebody says, "Is any news on any of the potential Lady Raider transfers we hosted this past weekend?" I don't have any news on that. So I have not seen any news on that. I've not been alerted to any news on that. That doesn't mean that we swung and missed 4 times. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. But
They could be filling out the pesky paperwork.
Could be. I mean, I reached out. I said, "Hey, if we get some good news, let me know." And so I have not heard any good news yet.
Okay.
So I'm hopeful on that. 6:53 this morning here on the morning drive, and Jeff is right on spot with a little Commodores for us. How could this not make you feel good in the morning, right?
Your team's on a 4-game losing streak.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah. Still, you at some point in time, you have to have just a little bit of amnesia and feel like, okay, hey, today's going to be a better day. We're going to get it turned around.
Hope so. We're
going to change out of those wet socks, as you said earlier this morning, and put on some nice dry ones and head over to the ballpark and go, it's not going to be squishy-squashy in our cleats today. We're going to feel good. We're going to look good. We're going to act good. We're going to play good. We're going to win good. 6:55 this morning on the Morning Drive.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
7:16 this morning here on the Morning Drive. I feel like the 2 dog songs that are kind of most conventional are "Who Let the Dogs Out," which we've heard, and this, "Jingle Bells with the Dogs Barking." I think those are the top 2 songs on the top 40 dog barking list.
Probably so.
Okay.
Or anything by Snoop, but Not all of that can make the airwaves here.
That's right. You know, when you were doing This Day in Sports History, just to go back for that just for a second, you're listing off the birthdays. When Jeff said Tony Pollard was 27 today, man, feels like he's been around a lot longer than that, and that 27 seemed awfully young for him.
No, it doesn't feel like he's been around long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who did he sign with?
Why am I thinking Steelers?
Okay, I was thinking New Orleans, but I don't think that's right. He signed with the Tennessee Titans because they lost Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. So he's with them now. And the Cowboys are also losing Michael Gallup. So I always liked Michael Gallup. You know, of course, he got hurt, and that was a challenge. But the Las Vegas Raiders have signed Gallup to a 1-year deal that's worth up to $3 million.
And now Chuck hates his guts.
Yeah, the full
That was
guts.
that was Jeff in like movie trailer voice guy. In a world where Chuck hates his guts.
Anybody that plays for the Las Vegas Raiders, yeah. Sorry. Not sorry. But anyway.
I don't care.
I know you don't. So anyway, I just thought that came to my mind. I felt that he was younger than that. If you'd have said to me, or older than that, if you said, "Hey, how old is Tony Pollard?" I'm saying, maybe 30. But in the running back life, 27 is getting up there in years. Mm-hmm. Same thing for Zeke Elliott. I mean, he may be a starter for the Cowboys, but that's about. I don't know that that's the best thing. He'll be serviceable, and he'll make Dak happy. So, because he'll have his little brother around. So, if it's a.
I mean, do you think that has anything to do with this?
I wonder. I really do. I really do wonder. It makes me think yes, but boy, why? I don't know why we're catering. Why the Cowboys are catering to Dak Prescott when he's basically underperformed. I mean, you could call him Mr. Regular Season if you wanted to.
No, I think Peyton Manning. It's that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they are. I don't think that's the reason. I think he was an available running back and
better than what they could draft, probably.
Yeah. They know what they're going to get in him. They know he wanted to come back. They're looking for a back. I mean, I don't think it was because he's friends with Dak.
He can jump in the kettle if he scores a touchdown on Thanksgiving Day. He's already done that.
I mean, he can't do it again.
He can do it again.
But any free agent running back they brought in could have done that. Yeah, I don't think this is about Dak's.
No, I think this is about Jerry liking putting the band back together.
But that band.
I think this is about the Cowboys needing a running back, and this was something that they could do.
That band was a cover band, more than anything else. All right, let me.
You're talking about a 2-time NFL leading rusher. I'm not saying he is now, but a 2-time NFL leading rusher is a cover band.
Yeah, Jeff, but he didn't play for the Chiefs, so he wasn't really any good.
Oh, that's not it.
You were forgetting, our problem with Zeke wasn't what he did on the field. Mm-hmm. It wasn't his effort that he was putting in his last couple of seasons. It wasn't the amount of time that he was playing hurt and doing all those things. What was our issue? His contract was enormous.
Yeah, too big.
This is a $3 million max deal.
Yeah, also had issues with the fact that he held out at one point too, when he was under contract.
Well, and that got him this big, enormous contract that nobody liked.
That hurts you with getting other players.
He was still out there playing every game. His last 2 seasons, I think he was hurt every
holding
game.
Out.
Well, his last 2 seasons didn't hold out.
Yes, okay.
I'm not saying he is the answer to all of their problems.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think he was. I mean, it's understandable why they signed him.
It's a pretty good signing. It's a pretty good signing. And look at me. I've made you defend the Cowboys this morning.
I'll defend them when they're worthy of being defended. Nothing involving Dak Prescott needs to be defended. Mm-hmm. None of it can be.
7:20 this morning here on the Morning Drive. All right. So last week, I believe this was last week, the powers that be from the Power 4 conferences and the athletic director from Notre Dame, the FBS commissioners, had meetings in Dallas at Las Colinas. And then they brought in some reporters that cover college football just to kind of give them the experience of the selection of the 12-team playoff that's coming up. They put up the 22 to 2022 12-team playoff as it would have been, okay?
Okay.
And so in this particular case, the 8-seed Tennessee would have hosted the 9-seed Kansas State. The 12-seed was Tulane playing at TCU. The 10-seed Southern Cal would play at number 7 Alabama. And then the number 11 seed, Penn State, would play at Ohio State. And the last one is kind of
would have stunk that they would have had two conference foes facing each other. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's the issue. That's the issue that came up right away. But right now, as it stands, there is no college football protocol on avoiding first-round matchups.
And there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be.
Yeah, because
I think it's unfortunate. It's disappointing. You would hate for it to happen, but I mean, heck, isn't it possible that it could be the third time they played? If they played in the regular season, the conference championship game, and then they played in that. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I don't think that you should change seedings based on that.
Yeah, you can't have enough. You don't have enough teams to be able to do that like you do in the 68-team basketball tournament. The other thing is the 5 highest-ranked conference champions are in the automatic qualifying spots. This would include normally the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC, and a Group of 5 representative. There is a challenge, though, that potentially the Group of 5 representative could be ranked lower than a second-place team in the SEC or the Big 10 or the Big 12 or even the ACC.
In my opinion, I mean, first off, yeah, if the Group of 5 champion is the number 11 team, then they should be seeded as the number 11 team. They shouldn't be seeded in the top 5 or anything like that.
Yeah, the seeding.
And if that goes for the Big 12 champion too. If the Big 12 champion is not one of the top 5 teams, they should not be seeded in the top 5.
Yeah. So that is a potential problem. There'll be in this article it says there'll be plenty of examples of conference champions being ranked lower than another conference's second place finisher. Okay.
Yeah, and don't you guys disagree with that? Do you want those spots to be guaranteed?
No, I don't.
Champions?
I don't. I don't. I don't. And so that's the playing the rematches is going to be a potential issue. And then
I don't think it's an issue. I just think it's unfortunate.
Okay, unfortunate is a good word.
It's not ideal.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that there's a Group of 5 champion that could push out another Power 5 team or Power 4 team.
And that's why I don't want them guaranteed the spot
in the top 12 in the final 12.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's where
that's going to happen more times than not. Mm-hmm. More times than not, your Group of 5 champion will not be a top 12 team.
And what they point out is only 3 times in the last 10 years would the top 12 ranked teams have all made the field.
Yeah. So 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
More times than not.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You're going to put a team in there that's not one of the best 12.
Yes.
I think it's dumb.
Yeah. And
what do we owe the Group of 5 teams?
I don't think.
Why do we have to bend over backwards to make it work?
I don't think we owe them anything. I think you're exactly right. Because that could hurt a Big 12 team more likely than not, too.
Yep.
It could hurt this one here.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, guys. Heading into this 2024 Red Raider football season, I think there are 2 guys. You guys are welcome to disagree with me here. But 2 guys that people feel like superstars either already or superstar in the making.
Okay.
And Taj Brooks and Micah Hudson.
Okay.
One of the highest rated recruits you've ever had. Mm-hmm. And a guy who was a stud for you last year and you got coming back for his senior year. Okay? So 2 guys that I think are big time, expected to be stars in the near future or already are for you. Okay?
But I could maybe add Ben Roberts to that.
I mean, he's really good, but okay. I want you to tell me who the next breakout star is going to be. Who's going to be the guy that the casual Red Raider football fan, who's not talking about it every day, they're going to find out is the next guy that's going to be a stud for Texas Tech football.
Okay. I've got some candidates for you.
Okay? I'm just asking you for what?
Caleb Douglas, wide receiver, 6'4", 205. He's a transfer. I saw him catch some balls in the spring game, and it's like, okay, I liked how he looked.
I think he's getting overshadowed by just about every other wide receiver that you have. Okay.
You said breakout, so
okay.
I was going to give you I gave you a breakout.
Okay. Jeff, you're welcome to answer Ben Roberts.
Yeah, because you.
I mean, he's.
Yeah, I mean, he's the like when you mentioned 2, I thought he was going to be one of the 2 because we've seen what he can do on the field. Not saying that Micah Hudson isn't going to be great, but we haven't seen it yet here. We've seen an all.
Yeah, but everybody knows his name.
Sure.
The casual Red Raider football fan knows his name.
He walks into cheers and they go, Micah!
Although you did call him Hudson White.
I did call him Hudson White yesterday. Still can't believe I did that.
With all the other clutter that we had,
we've also had a massive influx of Hudsons.
Yeah.
Okay, during this baseball season. Yeah.
I got Hudson on the brain. That's really what it comes down to. Keep me out of Continental Airlines. We'll be like, okay, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to go with Roberts. It's hard not to see what he did last year and expect some more of that as the linebacking core kind of builds around him a little bit. And when you look at your last few NFL drafts, they've been defensive players that have been drafted. So I'm not saying he's getting drafted next year. Obviously, he can't, but that's where I'm going to go.
Okay. I mean, I'm along the lines of Chuck here in feeling that you've got a bunch of receivers now who I think are getting a lot of pub, and always the new shiny thing is, the thing that everybody talks about. And I know he's a known name, but I just think he's going to have a breakout season, and that's Coy Aiken. I just think I think the relationship with Baron Morton,
I
think he's going to do bigger and better things than everybody expects. I mean, remember, he was that good for you last year, and he missed a bunch of camp, getting injured and all that kind of stuff, and he came back, and I thought he was great. So I'm expecting him to have a really big year this year. I don't know if he, gains more yards or, has more touchdowns than Hudson or Josh Kelly or even Caleb Douglas or whatever. I just think he's going to be a go-to, really, really, really important player for you.
Okay. I'll give you another name that just kind of stood out to me in watching the spring game, and it just, again, you can take from that what you want because it was a limited scrimmage, okay? But John Carlos Miller, the tight end transfer, he's 6'5", he's 245. I think he'll go by JC. But he's the guy that also stood out to me. And again, these are guys that, another one of those guys that is new or is not maybe familiar to everybody yet, but I think he's a guy that could stand out to you as well. He'll wear number 9.
I guess I have doubts that any tight end will be the answer to this question, as little as you use them.
Okay, and maybe then that's fair. and that's fair. But that's a big target, 6'5", 245.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
most tight ends are all big targets.
Well, I know, but
yeah,
I mean,
none of them as big as Mason Tharp.
No,
Yep.
But and Josh Llewellyn.
And you know
fits
that
bill.
I'm a big fan of Jalen Conyers, so I would lead towards any of the new tight ends. I would lead towards Conyers.
Okay. Yeah, you brought him up the other day. Yes, that's all fair. So
I just like his his ability to do so many different things.
Yeah,
versatility.
Yeah,
you think his second year with Dre McCray could be the breakout year for him? That, little first year, didn't know what the Big 12 was going to be about, got to see it up close and personal, can make the adjustment to have a better year if you're looking at a different wide receiver?
Maybe. It's funny. We've gone to so many receivers. Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah,
any one of them could step
it's hard
up,
to say an offensive lineman's going to be a breakout guy because they're offensive linemen. We just don't know.
Yeah. And your two running backs, I mean, basically you've got, Cam Valdez and Taj Brooks. Mm-hmm. It's basically what you're going with this year.
So proud of Chuck there. A little boy's growing up, Jamie.
Trying, Jeff.
Called him Cam.
7:40 this morning here on the morning drive. The Boom 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 is next on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us today on the Morning Drive. We come to you this morning from the First United Bank studio and look forward to your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line and the Visual Edge IT hotline. That number is 806-771-0973. All right, this is an article it's on ESPN, and there's some stuff on CBSSports.com and probably Yahoo, wherever you look, and you're gonna read the headline and you're gonna go, oh my God, that just sounds like watching paint dry. But I think it's really important when you consider the future of just the business side of athletics and of kind of where they're headed, and then the potential trickle down in the years to come of what could happen. And part of that peeling back of the onion is maybe what you saw at Texas A&M last week. They've got a new athletic director, and he went in and let a number of high-paid, long-time staffers go. And you're like, well, maybe that's just part of, a new athletic director coming in. But Trev Alberts made reference to the fact that there's going to be things that are going to come due to the tune of $15 to $20 million annually. And then that number comes back up again for almost every institution that's out there of what they may be faced with in the future. And here's the deal. Right now, the college sports leaders, the Power 5 conferences, Power 4 conferences, and others, FBS conferences, are in this in talks to settle the name, image, and likeness antitrust case versus the NCAA. And what this means is this case is supposed to go to court in January of next year. If the plaintiffs win, the NCAA and its schools, including Texas Tech and others, could be liable to pay more than $4 billion in damages. This would go back to name, image, and likeness to prior to NIL. So you could have former athletes that could line up and go, we were denied the ability to do this. Where's ours? Here's ours. And the ramifications of this now are that they're considering settling this case. So the president of the NCAA, Charlie Baker, and the plaintiffs' attorneys met. They met in Dallas because they had these college football playoff meetings going on. And sources have told the guys that wrote this article, Pete Thamel and Dan Murphy, that while no deal is imminent, that there's potentially a multi-billion-dollar settlement that could take place in the very near future. And what that would potentially be for schools is some kind of top-end revenue share per school that, once it's determined, would be in the neighborhood of $20 million annually. that you would share with the players of the sports. So you talk about taking $20 million just off the top of your revenue budget, because there's not going to be additional revenue coming in.
Mm-hmm. But it would only be with certain sports, right?
Yeah, that I don't know, but potentially. But Trev Alberts, the new athletic director at A&M, he told the Bryan College Station that the schools could be adding $15 to $20 million to their budgets annually for what he termed a new expense category in college athletics. This is, I mean, it's all very real. It's all kind of happening behind the scenes, so to speak. But I'm sure athletic directors all across the country at Division I levels, and certainly the level of kind of where we are within the Big 12, are going to be concerned about this. There's also an antitrust case. It's called Carter versus the NCAA. In that particular case, this was filed by an attorney. It argues that the NCAA should not be able to keep schools from paying players directly for their performance. So we're already starting to see some of that, right? I mean, it's already a very thin line between what you have with these collectives that's somewhat organized by the schools, but you can't direct, sponsors and people to the players. So we're getting closer and closer and closer to professional sports in college athletics. And the potential ramifications could be that could get very expensive. And then you could have some things like the Big Ten and the SEC coming together and doing some kind of revenue sharing with the players. And if they do that, then we could even see more conference realignment with teams being swallowed up by the SEC. I mean, there's thought that Texas Tech could go to the SEC along with other schools, and schools that are within the Big 12 could go to the Big 10 or the ACC, and it could all just be all swallowed up into one big kind of giant hole. So it's massive, but I think it's important to kind of pay attention to. It's confusing and it's boring, but yet it's going to affect kind of how things are going to be determined kind of in the future. And the future could be pretty immediate here in the next even calendar year or more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not surprised by any of this. It feels like it's the direction that we're headed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think this person off the 8th Flooring Center chat line makes it's very interesting text there. He says, so the NCAA caved to paying players to avoid lawsuits, only to get sued for letting players get paid. Damned if you do. That's the world we live in. Okay. It is rather interesting to me in the realm of, I think it's absolutely crazy. And I'm doing my best to just, accept it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. I accept it. What else am I supposed to do?
Nothing.
Right? Nothing. It's not the way I grew up enjoying NCAA sports. I've always had a different feeling for them towards, and my loyalty towards them and my passion towards them compared to professional sports. And we're kind of clouding the line between the two now.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels a little bit different. But I mean, this is what they feel like they want to do. Universities want to do, and the NCAA wants to do, and all the above. Okay, I'm okay with it. I really am. I'm not. Again, I'm telling you guys, I'm not going to get upset about this. I'm past the point of being the old guy that said, back in my day we did this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what they're going towards. Okay, great. I don't know how interesting it is. I just know this is where we're headed. Yeah. So nothing surprises me anymore.
And I think the thing that you fear, well, the concern that I have, or the question that I have, is what does it do to the sports beyond, let's just say, football and men's basketball?
Yeah, well, women's basketball is going to get exactly what men's basketball gets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when I said only certain sports are going to get revenue, it's football and it's the two basketballs.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's what's going to happen.
And after that,
and
there's
women.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.